Hey everyone, we're here with Brad Pfaff, who currently represents the 32nd Senate District, and he's running for re-election to represent the 32nd Senate District again. And we're very fortunate that he's here. And thank you for coming to the chamber.
Well, thank you, Brandon. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So initially, just kind of tell us about yourself and why you're running to represent Western Wisconsin in the state Senate.
Well, I love this area. This area is my home. This area is where my family first settled in the mid 1800s. They were family farmers in northern La Crosse County. I met my beautiful wife Betty here in western Wisconsin at a La Crosse County 4-H leadership luncheon. We raised our two children here in the Onalaska Holmen area. I've dedicated my entire life to the people and this region, and I absolutely love it. And it's really been an honor of my life to represent this area for the last 4 years in the Wisconsin State Senate. I'll do my very best to continue to bring the ideas and the values of Western Wisconsin forward.
Absolutely. So, tell us a little bit about the 32nd Senate District. Some of the assembly districts got changed with the new maps. Tell us about your district. Did it get changed? Is it the same?
Well, first of all, it's a wonderful district. I would say it's one of the most beautiful districts when it comes to landscape. It's the rolling hills, coulees, and valleys of the Driftless region. It encompasses southern Trumpeau County, essentially from just north of Ettrick south. So southern Trumpeau County, all of La Crosse County, all of Vernon County, and then western Monroe County.
Okay.
178,000 hardworking people call this area home. It really is politically a very purple district, which I like because it keeps you balanced. It makes you focus on the issues that are important, and it makes you listen to both sides, which I love. It is a very balanced district when it comes to population, rural and urban. And I think it's important that we work to try and bring rural and urban together the best we can, find issues that unify. But I will also say this: it is a district that is on the move, made up of hardworking,
Mhm.
dedicated, resilient people.
Absolutely. So as you've been in the state senate, and you've talked to business owners, what do you think is the biggest issue facing business owners in La Crosse and Wisconsin as a whole?
Well, we have to invest in this economy. And I will say this is that we do have rising prices, and those rising prices are impacting working families. I just met recently with the La Crosse Area Builders Association, and I think we all recognize the high cost of housing and what's taking place. Obviously, we talked about input cost for those new housing stock. Um, it's the mechanical that's costing, going up in prices. Obviously, lumber prices are important, labor costs there as well as purchasing land. We need to work to drive down prices. And the best way we can do that is, I believe, continue to invest in local businesses so we can source locally for our products. The supply chain seems
Hmm.
to get really stretched out. And we've all had this conversation about so many products being sourced elsewhere or being sourced overseas. I want to continue to reinvest in this area because we know how to make things in this area, Brandon. We know how to design things, we
Hmm.
know how to engineer, we know how to construct. Obviously, our farmers know how to grow high quality food. We know how to take that high quality food and make it into delicious food that we all eat every single day. So I want to invest locally, and I want to make sure that our workers and our businesses get a seat at the table in this growing economy.
Absolutely. I think that makes a lot of sense and touches a little bit about my next question. Cost of healthcare, housing, and childcare is some of the largest issues facing our local employees and employers. How would you help decrease these everyday costs for everyone kind of in the Cooley region?
Well, they are very expensive, and I will say this. I mean, housing is something that we really need to tackle, and I really do believe that there is bipartisan attention on this. We did have a housing package within the most recent state legislative session, which we put over $250,000 into some revolving loan programs in order to start refreshing the housing stock. But we have to look at input costs that go into that housing as well. I spoke a little bit about the high cost when it comes to the mechanical within the building, and I believe that if we start sourcing products more locally and building more products locally here for the building trades, I think it will be important. But again, more work needs to be done when it comes to making it easier to build
Hmm.
housing. I think we recognize some of the local zoning, is causing some consternation when it comes to some builders. But let's talk about healthcare as well. At the macro level, I firmly believe that we do need to make sure we continue to keep our eyes on these pharmaceutical companies. Obviously,
Hmm.
we want life-saving drugs to be brought to the market. That is very important. We need that research and development, but also I think transparency when it comes to prescription drug pricing. I have been very upfront with the fact that my son has type 1 diabetes. And the thing is, he needs insulin every single day. And insulin is something that keeps him alive.
Hmm.
But the thing is this, is it's very expensive. But yet insulin was, invented over 100 years ago. Why we can't figure out what we can do to bring down these prescription drug prices and cap the price of insulin, that's something that's important to me. But I will talk about at the local level. I believe that, here in the La Crosse area, us being a healthcare leader, we've got a strong healthcare sector. We need to continue to invest and educate, our population when it comes to healthcare professions, quality nursing, also making sure that we get healthcare specialists into this area, working to get more healthcare providers, keep a strong healthcare network available. That is so important for residents, and that'll help hold down prices. So housing and healthcare, but also childcare. We
Hmm.
can never forget how important childcare is, and the fact that the economics of childcare isn't working right now. It's so expensive for parents, but at the same time, the margin for childcare providers is paper thin.
Yes. So before I get to my last question, talking a little bit about political civility,
Mhm.
this past week, and all the candidates we've talked to have touched on it. This past week, the state auditor found $4.1 billion surplus. Talk about that a little bit. What are your thoughts on it? And what would you do as a state senator going forward on that?
Well, I do believe that we need to really focus on returning that money to the taxpayers, and we can do that. I believe in a targeted tax relief. I have focused on trying to drive down property taxes because that impacts all of us.
Hmm.
I would like to see targeted income taxes. I think that's extremely important. I want to make sure that we can continue to provide targeted tax relief for working families. We spoke about the high cost of childcare child care tax credits. That's something that I strongly support. I would like to see more business investment tax cuts, workforce training efforts that could take place within the state. All of that is so extremely important. So,
Yes.
that's where I'd like to see us go when it comes to economic development. But, I really do believe, Brandon, that the next legislative session, there's going to be so much, back and forth and jockeying on different issues. But we need to focus on righting this economy and standing this up because, a strong economy, will lift all boats.
Yeah, absolutely. So my last question here is: in an increasingly polarized political climate, voters are concerned about the lack of civility and collaboration among elected officials. How would you work to foster a culture of respect and constructive dialogue within the state capitol? And how would you engage with constituents who hold opposing views to ensure their voices are heard?
That's a great question, and I'm glad that you asked that question because our politics today is way too divisive. There's absolutely too much anger, and it doesn't need to be like that. I firmly do believe there's more that unites us than divides us. I do believe a good, healthy political debate is good,
Hmm.
but at the same time, I do think at the end of the day we need to shake hands and recognize that there's more to work to be done as we move forward. I was recognized as the most bipartisan state senator this past legislative session. So I'm proud of the work that's been done, but we need to continue to move forward as far as trying to find greater unity when it comes to just our dialogue. I don't think that we're always that far apart when it comes to what we want to do when it comes to economic development or what we want to do when it comes to education. But it's just how we present it,
Hmm.
and that is what is so disparaging and so frustrating. And so I will just say this: is that I do believe that I come from a place in which your word was your word, and a handshake meant something. I grew up on a farm in which our neighbor was our neighbor, and we would share a fence line with that person, and we would talk with that person, and if someone got sick, we were there to help them out, and that's the kind of civility that I believe in. I believe we can get back to that. I will, do my level best to lead by example. And if I'm not doing that, I hope that people will call me out because, I do believe that there's more that unites us than divides us. And as I mentioned earlier, this district demands that, you recognize what's happening here in the city of La Crosse and in Onalaska, but also in the rural areas.
Yes.
And so that's what, I like it. And I'll do my level best because at the end of the day, I know that my colleagues from the other side of the aisle, they were also elected to represent their constituents. And let's see what we can do to make sure that Wisconsin moves forward together.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for coming here today. Thank you
Thank
for answering the questions from our members. I want to hand it over to you one more time and see if you have a closing statement.
I just want to thank your members for the work that you do. I mean, every single day you get up and do your level best in order to make sure that the products that you provide and the services that you provide, that the customers in this area, get a high quality for that. Not only that, you sign both sides of the paycheck, and I recognize that, and I appreciate that. You are innovators, you are entrepreneurs, but at the end of the day, you are also residents of this Cooley region, and you want the very best. And I will do my very best in order to make sure that the Wisconsin State Senate, your voices are heard in that state Senate. So again, thank you, Brandon, for giving me an opportunity, and thank all Greater La Crosse Chamber of Commerce members for the work that you do. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Brad Pfaff, running for the 32nd Senate District.